We've all been taught from a young age to say no to drugs, right? But what does that mean? Does it mean don't take your antibiotic when you're given one for a cold? Not necessarily, right? So when we think about drugs in the derogatory sense, things like LSD, things like marijuana, opioids, psilocybin, ketamine, MDMA, all of these things have been utilized in the past for different reasons. And, fortunately, as time has gone on, we've been able to kind of sanction more time, energy, and resources to kind of figure out, is there any utility to these things? Do we always need to say no to these drugs? And as we've come to realize that a handful of these are actually really good when it comes to clinically treating different conditions and expanding consciousness and using them as tools to dig into the very unity of our being. I point this out really because now we have a different problem on our hands, a different problem that struggles from stigma, and that is the war on hormone therapy. So why is there stigma in the first place? Well, in all honesty, it kind of boils down to a population that's using these tools in an inappropriate fashion. And it's not to say that they were wrong in doing so, but it's just that that's the study population that we get all this data from, right? So if we think back to the time of Arnold Schwarzenegger and the bodybuilders in the era of that time, people were using compounds to develop better muscle tissue, to better develop their physique and their conditioning, right? With the Olympians using different drugs to make sure that they made more red blood cells and had better oxygen carrying capacity. There's all these different reasons to use tools for performance that got manipulated into clinical translation of the therapies that led to a over caution in their use. We have a fundamental bias towards these agents as cancer causing, as heart disease causing, as dementia causing tools that might give you a short-term benefit for a long-term net negative. But that's not actually true, right? And so if we go back and we look at the literature, we look at the details, and we look at the nature of these studies, they're not actually saying that at all. And so the real impetus for us as clinicians now is to go back and to use these tools and to see how they impact lifespan, to see how they impact quality of life, to see how they impact mental health, to see how they impact all these different parameters of well-being without causing harm. And the best way that we can do that is to monitor frequently, to look at all the biomarkers, to look at all the biometrics, to look at all the anthropometrics that indicate disease processes, that indicate aging, that indicate a negative physiologic response to these tools, and then use that to say, hey, look, we've had 10 or 20 people that took this tool. This is what those people experienced, right? This is what they didn't experience. And then we can talk to other people that are doing the same thing and get a cohesive arrangement and agreement on, hey, 80% of the time, this is probably what we're going to see when we do this kind of dose with this kind of frequency with this kind of drug. And that's where individualized precision medicine is going.